Every time since its creation, whenever the universe has been in turmoil, Lord Vishnu has appeared as one of his 10 incarnations, or avatar, with the purpose of restoration of dharma or righteousness and to protect the innocent from the clutches of evil. The first avatar of Vishnu was that of Matsya or fish, and he ensured that life sustained through the great floods during Satya Yuga, the first of 4 yugas of the cosmos. Lord Brahma was instructed to spiritually reshape the cosmos in the form of the Ved. While Brahma rested, a demon stole the Ved and hid himself deep in the ocean. Vishnu as Matsya slayed the demon, took the form of Hayagriva, or the horse-headed, and restored the Ved to Brahma. In the meanwhile, a pious king named Satyavrat or Manu regularly worshipped Lord Vishnu in the hope of someday meeting him. Once Satyavrat was washing his hands in a river, when a little fish swam into his hands and pleaded with him to save its life. He put it in a jar, which it soon outgrew. He then moved it to a tank, a river, and then finally the ocean, but to no avail, as the fish always grew to gigantic proportions. The fish then revealed itself to be Vishnu and informed him of a deluge that would destroy all life. The fish instructed Satyavrat to build an ark to take samples of medicinal herbs, seeds and animals along with the 7 saints and the divine serpent Vasuki. He promised the king that he would reappear as a horned fish and guide the ark through the massive floods. The king built the ark and had it loaded as advised. As the great deluge started, Lord Vishnu appeared as Matsya, a massive and brilliant fish with a long shining horn. The king tied the ship to the fish's horn using the great serpent Vasuki as a rope. The Matsya avatar guided the boat safely through the flood waters and darkness. When the storm ended and the water subsided, Matsya left Manu and the others at the Himalayas, where they could restart civilization. All the seeds and different animal species started procreating. Manu performed a huge sacrifice or yagya to propitiate the gods. With the blessings of the gods, a beautiful damsel named Ida appeared from the fire and married Manu. Both of them gave rise to the human race once again. Kurma or turtle is the second avatar of Vishnu, and he revived the lost glory of the gods who sought refuge in him and punished the cruel and faithless. Once, sage Durvasa offered a special garland of flowers to Lord Indra, the king of gods. Indra casually placed it on the head of Airavat, his elephant. Airavat, however, threw it to the ground and trampled upon it. Enraged by this, sage Durvasa cursed Indra and all the gods and proclaimed that they would be rendered weak. Once the gods were weakened, the Asur, or demons, waged war on them. On the verge of defeat, the gods approached Vishnu along with Lord Brahma and Shiva and pleaded for help. Vishnu advised them to acquire Amrit, or the nectar of immortality, to defeat the Asur. For this, Kheer Sagar, or the ocean of milk, needed to be churned, using Mount Mandar as a churning stick and Vasuki, the king of serpents, as the churning rope. Since the gods, by themselves, could not accomplish this task, Indra, along with other gods, went to Bali, the king of Asur, and requested for help to churn the ocean, after telling him about the nectar of immortality. Bali offered to share with the gods the nectar of immortality that would be produced by the churning. Mount Mandar was lifted and carried to the ocean of milk, where Lord Vishnu took the form of a turtle, or kurma, and supported the mountain on his shell. The serpent Vasuki was then used, and the gods and Asur together started to churn the ocean. The churning resulted in poison emanating from Vasuki. Lord Shiva gulped down the poison and held it in his throat, thus becoming Nilkant, and hence saved the world. 13 magnificent treasures emerged from the ocean, the last of which was the demigod Dhanvantari, with a pot of Amrit or nectar. As the Asur tried to grab the nectar pot, a fight erupted between them and the gods. Vishnu then disguised himself as an enchanting lady by the name of Mohini, and approached the Asur. The Asur were mesmerized by her beauty and forgot about the nectar. Mohini separated the Asur and gods and started distributing the nectar among the gods first. By the time the turn came for the assembled Asur, the nectar had been fully consumed by the gods. Mohini then assumed her original form of Lord Vishnu and flew away on his eagle Mount Garud. Feeling deceived, the furious Asur again attacked the gods on the seashore, but the gods, with their newfound immortality and strength, easily defeated the Asur, thus re-establishing the reign of peace and justice. Vara or boar is the third avatar of Lord Vishnu, and is highly powerful and benevolent. Once the four sage sons of Lord Brahma visited Vaikuntha, the abode of Lord Vishnu, to seek his blessings. The two gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, namely Jaya and Vijaya, had grown proud over time and they denied entry to the four sages into Vaikuntha. Outraged, the four sages cursed the gatekeepers and proclaimed that they would lose their positions in Vaikuntha and would be reborn as mere mortals on earth. On realizing their mistake, Jaya and Vijaya pleaded for pardon. The sages took pity and proclaimed that they shall be born thrice on earth as demons and shall be slayed by Vishnu every time. Finally, they would regain their original status as the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha. Jaya and Vijaya were first born as the brothers Hiranyakshipu and Hiranyaksha to sage Kashyap and his wife Diti. All the three worlds shook upon their birth. Indra, king of the gods, was terrified and approached Lord Vishnu. Vishnu assured him that at the correct time, he would slay the demons and save the cosmos. Meanwhile, owing to all the evil, Earth, or Bhumata, was eternally embroiled in wars and killings. Desperate for relief, Bhumata prayed to Vishnu to restore peace and tranquility. The great sages on the earth, also realizing the damage that was being done, performed a great yagya to propitiate Vishnu. Hiranyaksha, elder of the brothers, wanted to become the most powerful on earth and performed severe austerities while praying to Lord Brahma. Happy with the devotion of Hiranyaksha, Brahma appeared before him and granted a boon that Hiranyaksha would not be defeated or killed by any human or god. Emboldened by the boon, Hiranyaksha cruelly tormented humans and the gods. Deciding to weaken the remaining gods, Hiranyaksha used unimaginable weapons of great power to slip Bhumata from her position and then hid her under the ocean in Patal Lok, or the netherworld. Hearing Bhumata's cries of distress, Lord Brahma prayed to Lord Vishnu for help. A tiny Varaha, or boar, emerged from one of the nostrils of Lord Brahma and soon to transform to the size of a huge mountain. The divine boar then pierced down his way to Patal Lok, lifted Bhumata on his tusk, and restored her to her rightful position. Vishnu as Varaha then turned towards Hiranyaksha and used his Sudarshan Chakra, or the divine discus, and severed the head of the Asur and put an end to his arrogant life. Since Vishnu rescued Bhudevi from Hiranyaksha, she pleaded with Vishnu to accept her as his wife. Vishnu gave in and married her. One of the depictions of Varaha shows Vishnu with a boar's head and having Bhudevi seated on his laps. This form is also called Bhuvaraha. Narsimha is Lord Vishnu's fourth avatar, where he took the form of half man and half lion to protect his devotee and to end religious persecution and cruelty, thereby restoring dharma, or justice. Hiranyakashipu, brother of Hiranyaksha, swore revenge on Lord Vishnu for killing his brother and did severe austerities while praying to Lord Brahma for the boon of immortality. Meanwhile, when Indra, king of gods, realized that the Asur were not being led by Hiranyakashipu, he attacked and defeated the Asur and became the king of the three worlds. Pleased with the prayers of Hiranyakashipu, Lord Brahma and granted him a boon, that no man, god or animal could kill him during the day or at night, in heaven or on earth or with a weapon, either inside or outside his house. Overjoyed, and feeling invincible, Hiranyakashipu went back to his kingdom and fought, defeated and banished the gods. He then became the ruler of the three worlds. Prahlad, son of Hiranyakashipu, was a devout devotee of Lord Vishnu and prayed to him all the time. Since Hiranyakashipu had declared himself superior to any other being, he felt furious at Prahlad for praying to Vishnu despite his objections. He decided to burn Prahlad to death, but Prahlad remained unscathed thanks to Vishnu's protection. Hiranyakashipu then conspired to have poisonous snakes bite Prahlad, but even then he remained unharmed. He then let loose mad elephants at him, but the elephants did not attack him at all. Finally he asked his guards to kill Prahlad, but their swords crumbled to pieces and Prahlad remained unharmed. When Hiranyakashipu demanded why Prahlad would propitiate a god who was not even present, Prahlad told him that the Lord was everywhere. Hiranyakashipu, out of anger, shouted that if Vishnu was omnipresent, let him appear from the pillar of his palace, and kicked down the pillar. And from the pillar out came a ferocious being who was half man and half lion, the Narsimha avatar of Vishnu. Narsimha held Hiranyakashipu in a vice-like grip and dragged him to the threshold of the door, which was neither outside nor inside his house. He placed him on his lap, which was neither sky nor the earth, and killed him at twilight at the merger of night and day, with his claws, without using any weapons. Prahlad then went up to him with utter devotion in his eyes and thanked him for saving his life. Prahlad was made the king of his father's kingdom, and he ruled with utmost honesty and goodwill, which changed the ways of the Asur. Vaman is the fifth avatar of Lord Vishnu, in which he incarnated as a dwarf human to ensure righteousness and justice for future generations. The righteous and just Asur king, Mahabali, performed severe penance to please Lord Brahma. Finally, Brahma appeared and granted a boon of power and invincibility to Mahabali. With the help of Guru Shukracharya, Mahabali defeated Indra, king of the gods, and conquered the three worlds. Mahabali remained righteous and devoted to Lord Vishnu while ensuring justice for all his subjects. Defeated, Indra went to his parents Aditi and Kashyap and shared his misery with them. Aditi took pity on her son and met Lord Vishnu and requested him to reinstate Indra as the king. When Vishnu told Aditi that Mahabali was an able and just ruler, she pointed out that the same could not be said about future generations of Asur, and the world in future could be tormented without the rule of the gods. On hearing this, Vishnu promised to take birth in the womb of Aditi when the time was ripe. Aditi returned home, content for her son's future. Guru Shukracharya asked Mahabali to perform 100 Ashwamedh Yagya to retain his power as the king of the three worlds. As instructed, Mahabali started performing the Yagya. Aditi and Kashyap soon were blessed with a dark, beautiful, dwarf boy. He was extremely intelligent and full of pranks and was the darling of the house. Meanwhile, Mahabali had performed 99 Ashwamedh Yagya. As the final Yagya was about to be completed, a handsome, radiant, dark Brahmin dwarf boy approached Mahabali, who offered him anything he wanted. Vaman, or the Brahmin boy, asked for 3 steps of land, measured by his feet. As soon as Mahabali agreed to this, Vaman grew to gigantic proportions. With his first step, he covered earth, and with the second he covered heaven. He then asked Mahabali where he should step next. Mahabali offered his head as the third step of Vaman. Vaman then kept his third step on the head of Mahabali and pushed him into Patal Lok, or the netherworld. In the netherworld, Mahabali rebuilt his kingdom. He did not once regret the fact that he had served his lord and had kept his promise. Lord Vishnu was perturbed since Mahabali had been his true devotee. So he went in disguise to netherworld and stayed as the gatekeeper of Mahabali. Meanwhile, a very beautiful woman also came up to Mahabali and asked for help for her missing husband. Mahabali extended refuge to her and let her stay in his palace as his sister. The kingdom of Mahabali flourished with the help of his gatekeeper and his sister's counseling. Happy with them, Mahabali asked her to wish for anything she wanted. She asked for her husband, who she claimed was the gatekeeper of Mahabali. As Mahabali gaped at them in disbelief, the two transformed into Lord Vishnu and goddess Lakshmi. Mahabali fell to his feet and was blessed by Lakshmi and Vishnu. Parshuram is the sixth avatar of Lord Vishnu, incarnated to exterminate cruel Kshatriya kings who strayed from their path and had become a great burden to Mother Earth. Parshuram was born to sage Jamdagni and Renuka. They had 4 sons, and Parshuram was the youngest son and the most powerful and aggressive among them. Parshuram always carried an axe which he received from Lord Shiva after pleasing him with his meditation. He was an ardent devotee of Shiva and learned the methods of warfare and other skills from him. The ashram of Jamdagni was situated on the banks of the river Narmada, and it here that he educated his sons and disciples. Once Jamdagni was performing a yagya in his ashram. He asked his wife Renuka to fetch water from the river to offer oblation to the gods. At that time, a celestial singer named Chitrat was swimming in the river with his wives. Out of curiosity, Renuka stood there to see them and got late for her husband's rituals. Jamdagni, out of rage, ordered his sons to cut off her head as she has failed in her duty. Parshuram obeyed his command and killed his mother. Jamdagni was so pleased with his son that he offered him a boon. Parshuram requested that his mother be brought back to life. By now the anger of Jamdagni had subsided, and with his divine powers he brought Renuka back to life. Jamdagni and Renuka both were blessed not only for having Parshuram as their son, but also a divine wish-fulfilling cow named Kamdhenu and her calf, a symbol of abundance. Once, when Jamdagni and his sons were away, some Kshatriya warriors entered the ashram. Renuka was alone at the time, so she greeted them and offered them delicious dishes produced by their cow Kamdhenu and her calf. The warriors demanded Kamdhenu for their king, but Renuka refused. Incensed, the warriors seized the cow and her calf and forcefully took them to their capital, Mahishmati. When Parshuram returned to his ashram, his weeping mother narrated what happened in their absence. Kartavirya Arjuna, king of Mahishmati, had 1,000 arms. Parshuram, carrying his axe, stormed into Mahishmati and asked for Kamdhenu. The king refused and sent his army to face Parshuram, but they were all killed by him. Enraged at the destruction of his army, the king himself rushed towards Parshuram. Parshuram attacked him and cuts off all his arms, then brought his axe down on the tyrant's neck and killed him. Parshuram then returned with Kamdhenu and her calf to his mother Renuka. Jamdagni did not appreciate the adventure of his son and sent him for pilgrimage to atone this sin. Parshuram, being the obedient son, left on a pilgrimage. Once when Jamdagni and Renuka were alone in their ashram, the sons of Kartavirya Arjuna attacked and killed Jamdagni. Renuka fainted after seeing this extreme sight. On returning, Parshuram saw this tragedy and came to know about the whole incident from his mother. Parshuram swore to destroy the entire Kshatriya race. He attacked and killed all the sons of Kartavirya Arjuna. Mad with rage, he moved all over the land, killing every Kshatriya, splashing his axe in the red of blood. In a mission to avenge his father's death, Parshuram had filled 5 ponds with the blood of Kshatriya clans. This place later came to be known as Samant Panchaka. He took a bath in that lake, washed his axe and performed rituals in honor of his father. Now when the revenge of Parshuram was complete, he turned to penance, believing that he had made the Brahmins absolutely free from the fear of the Kshatriya clans. Parshuram is considered Chiranjeevi or immortal, and is said to live till Mahapralay, or the end of the cosmos. Ram is the 7th avatar of Vishnu, incarnated to restore dharma or righteousness by slaying the demon king Ravan and his brother Kumbhakarna, who were the final rebirths of Jaya and Vijaya, the 2 gatekeepers of Vaikuntha. Dashrath was the childless ruler of Ayodhya and had 3 queens. Deeply desiring an heir to his kingdom, he performed a yajna and was blessed with 4 sons. Queen Kaushalya gave birth to Ram, Queen Sumitra to Lakshman and Queen Kaikeyi to Bharat and Shatrughan. Guru Vasishtha taught the brothers the science of arms and other arts. Their education included the Veda as well as the martial arts. Ram was a polite, self-controlled and virtuous youth, always ready to help others. In an archery contest, organized by Janak, king of Mithila, sage Vishwamitra presented Ram and his brothers as participants. The hall was beautifully decorated, and in the center, on a platform, was placed the famous boar of Lord Shiva, adorned with flowers. Ram wins the contest and Janak gives the hand of his daughter Sita in marriage to Ram. The 3 sisters of Sita were also married to brothers of Ram at the same time. The succession of Ram to the throne of Ayodhya was made difficult by Manthra, the hunchback handmaid of his stepmother Kaikeyi. Manthra ensured that Kaikeyi was made jealous of Ram and had her redeem 2 boons that her husband, Dashrath, had promised her long ago. The first demand was for Ram to be exiled for 14 years to Danka forest. Her second demand was to have Bharat, her own son, coronated as crown prince. Ram, being the obedient son, immediately agreed to his exile and took leave from his father and mothers. Lakshman, his inseparable and devoted brother, and Sita, his devoted wife, too accompanied Ram in his exile. Ram with his companions crossed the river Ganga with the help of the hunter king Kevat. They ventured to the far south in Chitrakoot, deep in the Danka forest. After 10 years of wandering, Ram arrived at Panchvati, on the banks of river Godavari. One day, Shurpanakha, a demoness, was enamored with Ram. She transformed herself into a beautiful woman and tried to seduce him. On being refused by Ram, Shurpanakha retaliated by threatening Sita. Lakshman retaliated by cutting off the nose and ears of Shurpanakha. In agony, Shurpanakha reached Lanka and complained to her brother Ravan, king of the Asur clan, about this episode. Ravan immediately sent his Asur uncle, Marich, in the disguise of a golden deer, to entice Sita. Sita requested Ram to fetch the golden deer for herself. Ram ran after the deer but left Lakshman to guard Sita. When Ram did not return for a long time, Sita sent Lakshman to search for Ram. He left after marking a threshold around the hut and requested Sita to remain inside for her own safety. Ravan took the opportunity of finding Sita alone, and appeared in the disguise of a mendicant sage begging for alms. When Sita crossed the threshold to hand over the alms, Ravan snatched her and put her on his flying chariot, the Pushpak Viman, and flew away with her. As she was being flown away, she cried for help and went on dropping her ornaments one by one to leave a trail for Ram and Lakshman. The vulture Jatayu, who heard the cries of Sita, tried to fight Ravan, but he cut off its wings and it fell to the ground, while Ravan escaped to Lanka with Sita. Ravan imprisoned Sita in his forest Ashokvan surrounded by demonesses. Sita was to be coaxed by these demonesses to accept Ravan as her husband. Ravan used to visit Sita daily and waited patiently for her acceptance. Finding Sita missing, Ram and Lakshman travelled south, worried about her safety. Here they met Sugriv, head of a clan of monkeys. Sugriv informed Ram about the abduction of Sita by Ravan and showed them the ornaments that Sita had dropped. Ram along with Sugriv, Angad, Hanuman and their entire army of monkeys, left for island of Lanka and reached the seashore. Nal, the skilled general of the monkey army, built a bridge of floating rocks, and Ram and the entire army cross over into Lanka. Ram along with Lakshman and the army of monkeys then fought a fierce battle with the army of Ravan. When all of the generals of Ravan were slain, Ravan sent his brother, Kumbhakarna to the battle, but he too was killed by Ram. Finally Ravan met Ram in the battlefield and was ultimately slain by Ram. Thus Ram rescued Sita from the clutches of Ravan. The triumphant monkey army carried Ram, Lakshman and Sita to the mainland where they returned to Ayodhya in the Pushpak Viman of Ravan. In Ayodhya, Ram was coronated as the rightful king of Ayodhya where he ruled with justice and fairness. Krishna is the eighth avatar of Lord Vishnu and is considered a Purna avatar, in which godly qualities are manifested in full. He is the god of compassion, tenderness, love and justice. Daughter of King Ugrasen of Mathura, Devaki was being wedded to Vasudev when a divine voice from the sky prophesied that the cruel brother of Devaki, Kans, would be slain by the eighth son of Devaki. Kans immediately tried to slay Devaki, but Vasudev, who was also a dear friend of Kans, pleaded with him and promised that all of the children born to the couple would be handed over to Kans. Kans then imprisoned his father, Ugrasen, along with Devaki and Vasudev and proclaimed himself ruler of Mathura. Kans then personally killed each child born to the imprisoned couple immediately after its birth. In due course, Devaki gave birth to her eighth son, Krishna, when Vishnu appeared and blessed them. When Krishna was born, Vasudev secretly carried the infant Krishna across river Yamuna and exchanged him with the daughter of Yashoda and Nand cowherd king of Vrindavan. Later, when Kans tried to kill the newborn, the exchanged baby appeared as goddess Durga, warning him that his death had already arrived in his kingdom, and was growing up to be his nemesis. Having said this, she disappeared. In the meanwhile, Rohini gave birth to Balram and handed over both Krishna and Balram to cowherd king Nand of Vrindavan, and his wife Yashoda in fear of the wrath of Kans. The brothers then grew in Vrindavan, in the household of Nand and Yashoda. In the meanwhile, Kans sent several powerful demons in varying disguises to search for, locate and kill the newborn boy who had escaped his clutches. Infant Krishna encountered all of them and killed them all. Krishna grew up as a cowherd, a mischievous boy whose pranks earned him the nickname Makhan Chor or butter thief. He both charmed and protected the people of both Gokul and Vrindavan. Once, when young Krishna ate clay, a panicked Yashoda commanded him to open his mouth. Yashoda then was given the vision of the entire cosmos, or Vishwarup, in the mouth of Krishna. Once, angry with Krishna for having convinced the people of Gokul to not make costly annual offerings to Lord Indra for regular rains, Indra sent torrential rains to Gokul to teach its populace a lesson. Krishna, however, protected the entire community by lifting up the hill Govardhan on his little finger, so that the people could come and take refuge beneath it. Krishna and Balram went to Mathura to participate in an opening wrestling challenge, organized by Kans. When Kans realized that it was Krishna who was his prophesied nemesis, he unsuccessfully tried to have him killed. Krishna then fought, defeated and killed Kans, and reinstated Ugrasena, father of Kans, as the king of Mathura. Having dealt with Kans, Krishna led his Yadava clan to the newly built city of Dwarka and became king there. There he married Rukmini and made her his queen. The nephews of Krishna, the 5 Pandav brothers, in disguise, went to the Swayamvar Sabha being held in the kingdom of Panchal where Princess Draupadi was to choose a husband for herself. A competition was held to win Draupadi but all the assembled kings failed. Arjun then attempted and easily won the competition. He was married to Draupadi. It was here that Krishna befriended Arjun and the other Pandav princes of the Kuru kingdom. Jaya and Vijaya, the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, took their third and final birth as Shishupal and his maternal cousin Dantwakra. At the birth of Shishupal, it was prophesied that Krishna would be the one to slay him. At his mother's request, Krishna promised to do so only if he made 100 mistakes. Years later, at a yajna, Krishna was given the seat of importance. Shishupal was infuriated at being slighted and continuously insulted Krishna. After 100 insults, Krishna invoked his divine discus, the Sudarshan Chakra, and decapitated Shishupal. Dantwakra was a maternal cousin of Krishna and a friend of Dantwakra. To avenge the death of Shishupal, Dantwakra unsuccessfully attacked Krishna with his mace. Krishna struck Dantwakra on his chest, killing him in a single blow. Thus Jaya and Vijaya completed their mortal cycle and were then restored to their positions of gatekeepers in Vaikuntha. Shakuni was the uncle of the Kaurav brothers, who, in turn, were half-brothers of the Pandav brothers. Shakuni conspired with Duryodhan, the eldest Kaurav, to destroy the Pandav brothers. At the insistence of Duryodhan, his father, Dhritarashtra invited Yudhishthira for a wagering game of dice. The Kaurav brothers, helped by Shakuni, cheated in the game and defeated the Pandav brothers. The Pandav brothers wagered their kingdom and belongings and lost. In the final turn, Yudhishthira wagered Draupadi and again lost. Duryodhan, out of spite for the Pandav brothers and Draupadi, had her dragged to the court and ordered his brother Dushyasan to disrobe her. Draupadi, in despair, called out to Krishna for help, and unseen to everyone, Krishna ensured that the robe Draupadi was wearing would never end despite Dushyasan pulling at it. Thus Krishna ensured the protection of the honor of Draupadi when no one stepped up to protect it. After the defeat, Pandav brothers were exiled for 12 years and 1 year of incognito exile. At the end of the exile, Krishna advised the Pandav brothers on how they could get back their kingdom. Krishna used his diplomatic skills and tried his best to bring about a truce between the Pandav brothers and the Kaurav brothers. But the Kaurav brothers had neither respect for Dharma nor for the counseling of Krishna. They insulted Krishna, who then showed his gigantic form, or the Virat Roop, to them. Since all else failed, the Kaurav and Pandav brothers decided to battle it out at Kurukshetra. Both Arjun and Duryodhan went to Krishna for his help in the war. Krishna offered his fully weaponized skilled army and his own unarmed self to them. Duryodhan immediately chose the army of Krishna while Arjun chose Krishna as his charioteer. In the battlefield, when Arjun saw all his relatives on the opposing side, he put down his bow since he could not get himself to battle his own dear ones. At this juncture, Krishna gave a great discourse on duty and life to Arjun. His utterances form the holy scripture of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna also gave a divine vision to Arjun and revealed his Vishwaroop, or his cosmic form, to reveal to Arjun that Krishna encompassed all and every event was with his knowledge. Krishna, as charioteer to Arjun, saved his life under many tricky situations and ensured victory for righteousness and justice, at the cost of sometimes having to use ostensibly dubious means. The war ended with the annihilation of the Kaurav brothers and the rule of Pandav brothers was established. After the war, Gandhari cursed Krishna that his Yadav clan, like the Kaurav, too shall perish by inflighting. True to the curse of Gandhari, a few years later, a terrible fight broke out among the Yadavas at a festival and they end up killing each other. Krishna realized that his time in this world had come to an end and retired to a forest. Mistaking the sleeping Krishna for a deer, a hunter named Jara shot an arrow that fatally injured him. Krishna forgave Jara and laid down his life. Buddha is the 9th avatar of Lord Vishnu. Buddha showed the world the path of meditation and self-control to inner peace and nirvana or salvation. Shuddhodhan and Maya Devi were king and queen of the Shakya dynasty with its capital at Kapilavastu. They were adored by the citizens of the kingdom. One full moon night, sleeping in the palace, the queen had a vivid dream. She saw a white elephant with lotus flower in its trunk, encircling her thrice and then entering her womb through her right side. Wise men in the kingdom prophesied that the queen would give birth to the purest one. The queen traveled to her parents' home, and on the way she stopped at Lumbini and took rest under a sal tree. Soon the queen went into labor and gave birth to a baby boy. Legend has it that this baby walked 7 steps as soon as he was born, and each step was welcomed by a lotus flower which sprouted from the earth. The queen then returned to Kapilavastu with the newborn baby, and the king received them with great joy. The baby boy was named Siddharth, but just 2 days after the naming ceremony, Queen Maya passed away and the entire kingdom, along with the king, drowned in sorrow. The infant prince was brought up by his mother's sister Prajapati Gautami, who also became the consort of King Shuddhodhan after Maya Devi's death. King Shuddhodhan ensured that the prince got education and comforts befitting a prince, and Siddharth turned out to be a fast learner. When he was 16, he finished his education and he married Princess Yashodhara. They had a baby boy named Rahul. One day, the prince went outside the city walls on a chariot with his faithful attendant Channa and saw an old person. The prince learned from Channa that everybody would become old one day. The next day he saw a sick person who was lamenting with pain and learned from Channa that everybody gets sick one time or another. The third day, the prince encountered a funeral and learned that everybody dies and that death is inevitable. Siddharth became very sad at seeing these miseries. Then he saw a robed ascetic. From Channa he learned that these were the ones who had renounced all worldly desires to seek inner peace. This way of life captivated the young prince. When Siddharth was 29 years old, he decided to renounce his royal life and search for deliverance. Leaving his newborn son and his wife, he walked out of the palace, never to return to his royal life of comfort. 6 years he roamed, and finally he went to Bodh Gaya near the Niranjana river, and under a tree he performed severe penance without food and water. However, he was not blessed with inner peace despite the denials he inflicted upon his body. Sujata, the daughter of a nearby landowner, offered him a bowl of milk rice which Siddharth accepted. He bathed in the river and then ate the food. This was his first meal after 49 days of fasting. He then sat for a long meditation. The demon Mara, along with his other companions and celestial nymphs, tried to entice Siddharth out of his meditation. Siddharth, however, was not disturbed and eventually attained nirvana or enlightenment. Thereafter, Siddharth was renamed Buddha. He started preaching about life and salvation and soon had a huge number of followers who included kings, noblemen and monks. At the request of his father, Shuddhodhan, Buddha paid a visit to Kapilavastu. When the son of Buddha, young Rahul, met him, he was charmed and wanted to follow him. Rahul was the first novice monk under Buddha. At the age of 20, Rahul was fully ordained as a monk. Buddha laid down his life near the town of Kushinagar in northern India, bordering Nepal. He died of food poisoning after accepting an offering of food that had gone bad. As the news that Buddha was dying spread, his grief-stricken followers gathered around him to hear the final words of Buddha before he left the world forever. Kalki is the 10th avatar who is prophesied to appear at the end of Kali Yuga when the world is full of darkness, degeneration, chaos and adharma. Riots, wars, floods, storms, earthquakes, incessant volcanic eruptions and other such destructive events would fill the world. At this juncture, Kalki Avatar will arrive, riding a white horse, with a fiery sword. He will slay the cruel and evil and will restart a new cycle of time by establishing the balance of the cosmos.